Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Long Pamay, and in this video we'll create a small project to update a Word document template from Task Pane user interface. Recently I have done a detailed walkthrough on how to integrate Excel and Word document using VBA. To understand Word object model, read and write to these objects, I'll leave a link in the video description. Please watch these videos and you'll observe lots of similarities between VBA and VSTO in .NET Framework. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at this sample document. This is the lease agreement sample we use in our other project. For example, here, in order to access bookmark, you go to insert and then bring this up, insert a bookmark. So here I've added 3 bookmarks. For example, see date is this, go to, then it will navigate you there. These are like a placeholder that I've added where we will be updating using the code. And then if you have to update additional range or add a new bookmark, you can select the range. For example, let's say you want to specify a state in this particular range, so you can select a range like this and then click on bookmark. Here you can specify the name of the bookmark. Let's say this is for state, like this, and click on add. Okay, so once it has been added, you'll be able to navigate it to that. Okay, also it will be represented by this square brackets. So similarly, here you'll see there are checkbox, and then like other things. I have inserted this from developer tab, and then I just use this control. Okay, so for example, I click on this, it will add a checkbox. So similarly, let's say you want to add a combo box, you can go here and also you can select this as well. Okay, like this. Similarly, if you have 2 radio buttons like this, you can group them together by going to properties, and let's say that these 2 option buttons are in one group. You can specify a group name here. For example, let's say group 1, and then we'll select another button as well, and then group 1. So once you exit the design mode, like this 2 will be, you should be able to check only one option button from this group. Okay, so you can design in this fashion. So the rest are, it's a very simple. Now we'll create a project using this document. Now let's create a new project, file, new, and project, or you can press Ctrl+Shift+N. And from here you can search for Word VSTO or something like this, and look for the one for VB. You can also do in C#, whatever you're comfortable in. Now we're gonna do a document level instead of the add-in. Okay, so Word VSTO document, and click on next. Here you give the name of the app. Let's call this as docs, and then I'm gonna add this to the YouTube folder. I want to add, create a project in this folder, and then I'm gonna click on create. Now you'll be prompted with an option to either go with a new document, or you can use the existing. So let's browse and select the existing one. I'll select this and click on open, click on OK. Now we're done with this. I'm going to close this. Give it a moment, it will create a project. Okay, so this is ready. Let me just fire this up, Ctrl F5. Okay, so the document loaded. Okay, now let's start first by adding a task pane. So right click on your project and click on add components. Now go here to Office/SharePoint and select action pane control. Now you can just add, or you can rename this to the name that you want. For example, let's call this task pane X, something like that. Okay, and click on add. I'm gonna resize this a bit. As such, this is not gonna do anything by itself. We'll have to load this up. Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna show a message box first. Let's call this hello world, something like that. And now, so it automatically created a class for us, and then this is the code that will be triggered from the button, right? Now going to, so this is the name of the document we added to the project, and then this is this document.vb. So if you press F7, it will take you to the code editor, or you can view the code. Now this code is going to run as soon as the application starts, and this is going to run when it shuts down. First, let's declare our panel. So let's call this theme, or task pane, or we'll call this my task pane as new, task pane X. Okay, so this is our task pane that we have added here. Now copy this, and now let's add let's access this particular object from here. As soon as this fires, this application opens, we want to show up our task pane that we have created here. Okay, now globals, and then from here this document dot action pane, we'll add a control, and from here we're gonna reference it to our task pane. Okay, now you can also directly say dot show like this. That should be it. Okay, I'm gonna load this, control F5. Let's see. So here is the panel we've added, and once you click on this button, it says hello world, and this is the name of the application. Okay, now let's start adding controls to our interface. Now if you want more advanced like look and feel, add effects or watermark and so on, check out the other video on episode 4. It will give you a detailed walkthrough on how to customize your interface. Now I'm gonna get rid of this button. First, let's bring in a panel. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press F4. Let's add a background color first. System is fine. Let's add a blue color again, maybe a hot track. Now look for dock properties. From here, let's add to the top like this. So now the purpose of docking here is so that even if you drag the interface bigger or smaller, it's gonna be docked there. Okay, now let me bring in the label. First, let's add a name to this. Let's call this input form, and maybe like lease agreement, like this. Let's add the font color to white. Something like this, and the font size, let's make it to 13, 14. Okay, that's big. Okay, let's just keep it like this for now. And the font as well, I'm gonna keep it for now, but if you want to change it, here is where you'll scroll through, or you can type the name of the font here itself. Now let's bring in some more labels. Let's call this text as tenant. Let's bring in a text box as well. Something like this. So here the tenant name of the tenant is gonna go, and I'm gonna make a copy of this, align it here. Let's make this to landlord. And next we can add contract date. Okay, based on that, I think I'll have to resize it a bit. Now here we can bring in date picker. Let's change the format to short. Okay, and then we can also add like a path where the PDF will be exported to. Let's call this export to path, something like that. And we'll bring in radio buttons. Short term. Now if we quickly take a look at document here, I'm gonna copy this file outside the like the project folder. So here the term is month to month and then fixed lease, and there are checkboxes here which we want to also trigger it. Now going back to project, let's call the first one as month to month. Let's call this as fixed, something like that. And we'll add 2 more buttons. I'll just bring it down here. I'll let you guys update the rest of the controls. Let's call this first button text as update doc, or just update, and then this to print. So this will basically directly update this information to the document, and then once the user is happy, you can print it out or export it to PDF. Okay, so let's keep it simple like this for now. Let's quickly rename the name of the controls as well. So here, this text box 1, let me call this text box TB, or we can just call it tenant. We don't have many controls, so that is fine. And this one, we'll call this second one as landlord. We'll call this as contract date, radio, and then month, on month. Okay, that should be radio, and then let's call this fixed. Update button and print button. So I'm pressing Shift F7 to toggle like this, or if you press F7 it will take you to code editor. Okay, now we have named all the controls and we are now ready to put the code. Now let's first load it up and see how it looks like. So this is not much, but it should get you started, and then you should be able to like customize it further. Again, refer to the episode 4 video. It's gonna be very useful in terms of customization and adding more like experience part of it. So that's fine. Okay, for now I'm gonna create a new folder here for output. Let's call this output, and whenever this fires out, let me bring in the user. This is task pane events, and then on load, let's call that we actually didn't put a name for this. Let's call this as export path. So we'll say whenever this task pane loads, set the value of export path.text, and then we'll put it like this. So this will pre-fill this particular path. let's see. So here the path has been pre-filled. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much all from the design from the UI side. Now let's write some code so that based on the user's input it will update the document. Now I'm gonna double click on this button here. So if we can like declare the document object and keep referring to it, but we can declare it once and like reuse it. So go to the top here and let's call this declare my document as word.document, or we can just make it private like this. And then as soon as this panel loads up, we will set our variable. We'll set this to active document like this. Let me open up our sample document again. So for example, we want to update these bookmarks, okay, from the document. I'm going to go back to the code. Again, I just double click on update button here, and then from here, first let's declare a range. Let's call this dRange as word.range. This will be my document dot bookmarks, and then let's first take the landlord example or tenant dot range like this. Okay, and here we can say dot text is equal to, here we can say me dot tenant dot text. So let's give it a shot for this one first and see. I'm gonna fire this up. Let me put in my name and update. So here Pamai has been added like this. Okay, now let's put a make it bold and underline as well. We'll do similarly for this, for date, and then for this. Okay, so from here once we have width range, we'll set the text to this, and then dot font dot set this property to true, and underline, let's underline by single like this. Let's quickly check this, and then maybe we can convert this to a function. Okay, and then load. Okay, so let's replicate it quickly. Now instead of creating new blocks for each of this, we can directly convert this to a function. Let's call this set bookmark value, something like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna paste this here. We can pass bookmark name as string, and then I think that should be it. So instead of that, now we can also check if the bookmark exists, and here we can specify this bookmark name. Only if this exists we want to go ahead. So I'm gonna bring this in here. Let's call this value to, let's call this b value as string. So this is the value that is going to go into the bookmark. Now going back here, instead of so I'm gonna clear all this off. I'm gonna comment them out, and then we can call this function here. And then first we'll specify the bookmark name, which is tenant, and then the value we want to set it to, so we'll call this me.tenant.text. And then second is the landlord, landlord.text. cdate. For this we might have to update the format. Contract date dot value. Okay, so let's go ahead and give it a try for these three controls, and then we'll come back. Okay, and the date can be anything. So here's the date. It seems to be coming out okay. The name of the landlord, then all of them are underlined. Now let's we can also change the format of this. Now let's take care of these checkboxes like this. Now let me double click on this and this. I'm gonna copy this, my doc dot, and then from here you can access this checkbox through content controls, and then we can just refer it like this: dot checked, check equal to true. So let's see what comes first here. Month on month comes first, and then the fix is second. So this will be the first checkbox, second checkbox, like that. So since this is OR, I'll just make it to false like that, okay? And then for the fixed one, we'll change this to true and this to false like that. Okay, now loading it up again. Just a random name, I'm just bringing it up there. So as you can see here, if I click on month, this is checked, and then if I click on this is checked. And then once I click on update, this is filled up, okay? Now let's export it to this folder based on this path, okay? Now we'll just export this to PDF. Let's use export as fixed format, and then this is where we're gonna specify the path. So this is gonna be export path, and let's call this file name as me.tenant.text, and then we'll call this .pdf, and then you can export this as Word the format, and let's put this as PDF, and then we'll specify if we want to open after it export. Let's set this to true. There. We update this to the property text. So whatever is the path mentioned in this text box, and then the file name will become the name of the tenant.pdf, and we are expecting this export path to have a backslash, and then this is the format we want to export to, and then we want to open it up after it's done. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Now I don't have PDF installed in my computer, but it should open up in the web browser. So let's call this again, same guys, Pamai Peter date. This is checked, and then I click on update now, and now based on this it's gonna export. Okay, so this is the part where we specified to be exported, this part. Okay, now since we don't have since I don't have PDF in my computer now, it's exporting it into a browser. Okay, so this is what we filled in, and then this is checkbox we've checked. Now let's add a couple of things more just before we end this video. So for example, let's say you update and you print and you want to fill up a new information here instead of like relaunching the app, which is not efficient. Now we can make another button. For example, let's make this consistent, make this a bit smaller like this. Okay, so the more you play around, you'll get more idea. Let's call this clear, and then the example will be, for example, tenant.text, and then here you can specify string.empty like this. Okay, just empty, or you can specify with a double quote like that, like you do in VBA. Similarly, let's do this for landlord. Okay, now the other thing is, for example, when you click on update, the bookmark, once you write to the bookmark gets destroyed. Okay, so the way to retain that will be to, so for example, if I load this up now, so I'm gonna put a random thing here and clear, so this clears out. Let's say that I put a name like this and click on update. It updated the document, but let's say that I change this to some other name like this. It doesn't update. Okay, that's because the bookmark is already destroyed when you wrote this value. So let's add a quick handler so that that is retained. Coming down here, we'll re-add the same bookmark. Okay, bookmarks.add, and then here you can specify the name and then the range. So the name of the bookmark will be same, and then the range is gonna be the same range. So you can add this. I'm gonna load this up, and let's say that, okay, so this is fine. It will still work even if you update it to that, because you're only accessing, this is not a bookmark. Now once I click on update, so it's updated here, and then let's say this is Peter, and let's change in the order, so it updated again. And then if you click on print, let's give it a moment. So here it is. Okay, now if I go back here and then do this to Long Pamai and update, so the name of the file is constructed by the name that we filled in the tenant. Okay, so I'll encourage you to try it out yourself, and then if you have any questions, please comment below. And if you want to understand more on the object model, check the video description. I'll leave a link where you can watch the project we did for VBA. Again, you should be able to relate them. It's almost like entirely the same. It's just that we are coding here in Visual Studio, so the way we are setting up things are a bit different, but then you should be able to relate to almost all of them. But you try it out, and then if you have any questions, please do comment below. So that's gonna be all for this video. In the next video, I'm gonna cover some APIs for Google, like Drives and then spreadsheets. If you're into those kind of thing, if you want to add those into your .NET, like VSTO project or other .NET framework, then watch out for that. I'm gonna do a video where you can write to the sheets and then pull data from there, or you can create folders and then you can upload the file, download the file, list the files, or like create a parent and child relationship for the files, the folder, and so on. So watch out for that. And then if these videos have helped you, do not forget to leave a like, and it will be very helpful if you can share these videos with your friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.